It is 11 minutes past 6. So, passing your driving test. Remember that? If you have, if you haven't yet, you will. It's an experience most of us will never forget. It marks the start of perhaps a new level of independence.
But thousands of learners are still waiting for the green light to get behind the wheel, though, because tests and lessons were postponed during lockdown. Breakfast's Tim Muffet has been speaking to instructors about the challenges of teaching people to drive from a social distance.
Over the past 12 years, Chris Bensted has helped hundreds of people pass their driving test. Now he's being driven to despair.
I never knew it could be this bad, and we're just not hearing anything. So what we need information, we need some kind of guidance so that we can plan.
There are more than 40,000 approved driving instructors in the UK. The vast majority are self-employed. Lessons and tests have been stopped. So too have incomes.
What should have been done better, do you think?
If we knew where we were, instructors could have gone out and done some work, found jobs. And at the moment we can't do that. And most instructors have been hanging on. I don't think it could get much worse than this. We're just given nothing. And I think we're going to lose a lot of very good driving instructors.
Joe is 19 and has cerebral palsy. Lessons in his adapted car are banned. He can't book a test.
Living in a rural area, the public transport is not accessible. And both my parents work. So this means that until I pass my test and have driving lessons to be able to pass my test, I will not be able to get out and have a sense of independence. My future, my career is on hold, and it's quite scary and daunting, and my confidence has probably gone quite downhill.
Throughout the pandemic, driving instructors have been able to give lessons to key workers, providing they've already got a test booked. But for some, that's raised even more questions. Is it ever safe to give a driving lesson or not?
We'll do whatever we feel we can with regards sanitising and wearing masks. But even some of the insurance companies have questioned the safety of wearing a mask to be able to communicate, especially when there's background noise.
Sasha works in a care home. As a key worker, she was offered a driving test, but couldn't get to it.
The only centres that were offering it were London, Birmingham, and I think it was Manchester. So you have to get to it. I don't obviously drive. We don't have a car in my household, so it's like public transport's the only choice. But then we're told only go via public transport if you really need to. I am currently on a half-hour walk from my workplace, whereas a drive is probably like 5 minutes. And it would just make it easier. I could probably take more shifts to help out, especially on an early. I'd probably take some earlies if I could drive, because it's just a couple minutes up the road then.
The Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency oversees tests and tuition in England, Scotland and Wales. It told the BBC that it will announce the next steps with theory and practical driving tests and driving lessons imminently. Meanwhile, a plea from the organisation that represents driving instructors.
I would like to urge parents and pupils to not try and negate the need for a driving instructor because you're so worried about the risk of being in their car. Because what we don't want to do is create the other public health risk of improperly trained candidates going to the test centre and maybe, just maybe, getting through the driving test on mum and dad's training. But that's not what we're supposed to be preparing them for here. We're supposed to be preparing them for a lifetime of safe driving.
For now, instructors and learners are stuck, waiting for the green light. Tim Muffet, BBC News.